The great chamber of the Galaxy Council buzzed with angry voices. 47 different species sat in their floating seats, all talking at once. Their words mixed together in a soup of rage and frustration. At the center of it all, one human sat alone. Kim Jae-sung looked calm. Too calm. His dark eyes moved slowly around the room, watching each alien face. He wore a simple black suit that looked cheap next to the fancy robes and armor of the other diplomats. His hands rested on the table in front of him, fingers linked together. "The humans have gone too far," shouted Ambassador Vextar. The reptilian being's scales turned bright red with anger. "They steal our trade routes. They ignore our laws. They think they can do whatever they want." A chorus of agreement filled the chamber. The bird-like Kalins screeched their support. The massive stone beings called Gorak pounded their fists on their tables. Even the peaceful water dwellers known as the Aquari made angry bubbling sounds. Supreme Chancellor Mordan raised one of his forearms for silence. The insect-like ruler's compound eyes glowed as he looked down at the human diplomat. "Kim Jae-sung of Earth, you have heard the charges against your species. What do you say?" Kim stood up slowly. He was much smaller than most of the beings in the room. His voice was quiet when he spoke. "I say that my government has followed every agreement we signed. We have broken no laws." "Lies," hissed the snake-like Ambassador Silthara. "Your merchant ships cross our borders without permission. Your colonies expand into forbidden zones. Your people refuse to pay the taxes we demand." Kim's mouth curved into a small smile. "The taxes that were added after we signed our agreements? The borders that were moved without telling us? The permissions that take 5 years to process? Enough." Mordan's voice boomed through the chamber. "The Council has made its decision. Earth and all human colonies are hereby expelled from galactic society. All trade agreements are cancelled. All humans must leave Council space within 30 days. The chamber erupted in cheers. Some species had waited years for this moment. Humans had been a problem since the day they joined the galactic community. They asked too many questions. They refused to follow traditions. They made other species uncomfortable with their strange ways. Kim nodded slowly. "Is that all?" Mordan's antennae twitched with surprise. "You seem remarkably calm for someone whose species has just been exiled." "Oh, we're not done yet," said Ambassador Kregon, a massive bear-like creature with tusks. "The Council also votes for economic sanctions. No species may trade with humans. No human ships may dock at any Council station." More cheers filled the room. Kim's smile grew a little wider. "And if humans resist these measures," continued Kregon, "the Council authorizes military action. We will use force to make sure humans obey." The cheering stopped. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. War against the humans. Finally, they would put these annoying creatures in their place. Kim looked around the room again. His smile was bigger now. "So let me make sure I understand," Kim said. His voice was still quiet, but it carried clearly through the chamber. "You're declaring war on Earth? And all human colonies?" "That is correct," Mordan said. "Unless humans agree to become a servant species under Council rule. You may keep your worlds, but you will have no voice in galactic affairs. No voting rights, no territorial claims. You will do as you are told." Kim laughed. It was a soft sound, but it made several diplomats shift nervously in their seats. "You want us to become slaves," Kim said. "Servants," corrected Mordan. "Like the Zelari or the Mekton. Many species serve the Council happily." Kim nodded as if he understood. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. Several security guards reached for their weapons, but Kim held up his other hand peacefully. "This is just a communicator," he said. "I need to send a message to Earth." "You're giving us 30 days to respond, right?" "Yes," Mordan said suspiciously. Kim pressed a button on the device. A hologram appeared above it, showing the symbol of Earth's government. This is Kim Jae-sung, reporting from the Galaxy Council chambers. The Council has just declared war on humanity. They demand we become a servant species or face military destruction. He looked up at Mordan and the other council members. His smile was gone now. His eyes were cold and hard. They also seemed to think, we can't fight back. And we can. The chamber was completely silent. Every being in the room stared at the human diplomat. Kim turned back to his communicator. Please prepare Response Plan 7. Authorization code, Terra Firma. I repeat, Terra Firma. The hologram flickered and went out. Kim put the device back in his jacket and looked around the room once more. You sure about that? He asked. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Several diplomats exchanged confused glances. What did the human mean? What was Response Plan 7? Your threats do not frighten us, human, Mordan said. But his voice shook slightly. We have the combined might of 47 species. You have... What? A few dozen primitive worlds? Kim's smile returned. Something like that. The Council's decision is final, declared Ambassador Vextar. You have 30 days to choose. Surrender or be destroyed. Actually, Kim said, picking up a briefcase that had been sitting beside his chair, I think 48 hours should be enough time to arrange Earth's response. He stood and walked toward the chamber's exit. No one tried to stop him. They were all too confused by his behavior. At the doorway, Kim turned back one last time. Oh, and Chancellor Mordan? You might want to check your long-range sensors over the next couple of days. I have a feeling you're going to see some interesting things. The chamber doors closed behind him with a soft hiss. For several minutes, no one spoke. Then Ambassador Silthara broke the silence. What did he mean by that? Mordan's compound eyes dimmed with worry. I don't know. But send orders to all fleet commanders. Double the patrols around council space. And perhaps we should start monitoring human colonies more closely. You think they're planning something? Asked Krigon. Humans always plan something, Mordan replied. The question is what? The message reached Earth 12 hours after Kim Jae-sung left the council chambers. It traveled through hidden communication networks that no alien species knew existed. Within minutes, the signal spread to every human world, station, and ship in the galaxy. General Sarah Chen sat in a command center buried deep beneath the mountains of Korea. The room looked like any other military facility, with screens and computers everywhere. But the screens showed things that would have shocked the Galaxy Council. Terra Firma confirmed, she said into her headset. On the main screen, a map of human space appeared. To alien eyes, it would have looked like scattered dots of light. A few dozen worlds with basic technology. Ships that barely qualified as space-worthy. Mining operations that scraped by with outdated equipment. But now, the map showed the truth. Hidden bases flickered to life throughout the solar system. Massive installations appeared near Jupiter, disguised as gas mining platforms. The asteroid belt lit up with weapon systems that had been hidden for 20 years. Even Earth's moon showed structures that had never appeared on any alien scan. Cloaking fields down across all military installations, reported Lieutenant Park from his station. Stealth networks are powering up. The fleet is ready to deploy. General Chen nodded. Signal all colonies. Begin Phase 1. Across human space, the transformation began. On Mars, what looked like simple dome colonies suddenly opened up. Massive underground shipyards rose from beneath the red soil. Hundreds of ships that had been built in secret started their engines for the first time. The ships were sleek and deadly, with technology that was decades ahead of anything the Council had seen. In the asteroid belt, mining platforms transformed before alien eyes. Their outer shells fell away, revealing weapon systems that could crack planets. Railguns the size of skyscrapers rotated toward space lanes. Missile batteries that had been disguised as ore processors locked onto targets light years away. Jupiter's moons suddenly showed their true purpose. Europa's ice sheet cracked open, revealing submarine shipyards that had been building vessels for a war no one knew was coming. Ganymede's research stations dropped their peaceful covers and began broadcasting military frequencies. But the biggest surprise was waiting near Saturn. Commander Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESV Defiance, humanity's first true battleship. For 15 years, the ship had posed as a deep space research vessel. Its real purpose was to test weapons and technology that would make the Council's fleets look like children's toys. All systems green, her weapons officer reported. Quantum torpedoes loaded. Plasma cannons charged. Jump drive ready. Lisa smiled. The jump drive was humanity's biggest secret. While other species still used slow hyperspace lanes that took weeks to cross the galaxy, humans could appear anywhere in minutes. Signal from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. We're cleared for deployment. Then let's give the Council something to worry about, Lisa said. All ships, prepare to jump. Around Saturn's rings, space began to bend and twist. One by one, human warships appeared from nowhere. Not the crude merchant vessels that aliens were used to seeing, but sleek predators designed for one purpose: war. The Council had always wondered why human ships looked so primitive. The truth was simple. The real fleet had been hidden all along. On Earth, President Kim Min-jun watched the deployment from his underground command center. He had been planning for this day since humans first joined the galactic community. He knew the Council would eventually turn against them. Species that were different always became threats in the Council's eyes. Mr. President, his aide reported, all fleets are in position. The Council has no idea what's coming. Kim Min-jun nodded. How long until they notice? Our intelligence suggests they'll detect the energy signatures within 6 hours. They'll need another 12 hours to understand what they're seeing. Good. That gives us time to complete the deployment. Across the galaxy, human merchant ships received their activation codes. These vessels had traded with alien species for decades. They carried food, medical supplies, and manufactured goods. They had seemed helpless and peaceful. Now their true nature was revealed. Captain Zhang Wei had commanded the trade ship Harmony for 8 years. He had visited every major Council world, mapping their defenses while delivering cargo. The aliens had never suspected that his ship carried enough firepower to level a city. Weapons online, his tactical officer reported. Armor plating deployed. We're ready for combat. Zhang Wei looked at his crew. They had trained for this moment their entire careers. Every human merchant captain was actually a military officer. Every trade ship was a disguised warship. Signal the fleet, Zhang Wei ordered. Operation Revelation begins now. Throughout Council space, human ships suddenly stopped hiding. Their weapon systems came online. Their military-grade engines revealed their true speed. Their advanced sensors began mapping every Council military installation. The transformation wasn't limited to ships. Human colonies that had seemed weak and defenseless showed their real nature. Orbital defense platforms rose from hidden bunkers. Shield generators that had been disguised as weather control systems activated. Ground-based weapons that could reach into space powered up. New Sol, humanity's largest colony outside Earth's system, had always looked like a struggling farming world. Now it revealed massive shipyards that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built. Thousands of fighters launched from hidden hangars. Capital ships that had been under construction for decades floated free from their moorings. The Council's spy networks, which had watched human space for years, suddenly went dark. Every listening post was discovered and neutralized. Every planted agent found themselves cut off from their handlers. In the span of 6 hours, the Council went blind to human activities. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral James Park coordinated the largest military deployment in human history. Ships appeared throughout the galaxy, like ghosts coming to life. They took positions at every major hyperspace route. They surrounded council worlds at safe distances. They made sure that everyone in the galaxy would see them. All fleets report ready, his operations officer announced. We have ships in position at 47 council worlds. Jump drives are charged for immediate withdrawal if needed. Admiral Park studied the tactical display. 20 years of planning had led to this moment. Every human military officer had known this day would come. They had prepared for it in secret while the rest of humanity lived their peaceful lives. Send the message to Kim Jae-sung, Admiral Park ordered. Tell him his show of force is ready. The council wanted to see human military might? They're about to get their wish. Ending the message of military, of Gedeflus, of military. In space around Earth's solar system, the largest fleet in galactic history finished forming up. Thousands of ships that had never appeared on any alien sensor. Weapons that could turn planets to dust. Technology that made the Council's most advanced systems look like stone tools. Humanity had been playing the long game. Now it was time to show their cards. General Chen received the final reports from across human space. Every ship was in position. Every weapon was ready. Every system was online. She opened a communication channel to Kim Jae-sung, still traveling back to Earth from the council chambers. Diplomat Kim, she said. This is command. Terra firma is complete. The council wanted war? They can have it. Supreme Chancellor Mordan stared at the reports flooding his command center. The screens showed impossible things. Human ships appeared everywhere in council space. Not the slow, clumsy vessels they were used to seeing, but sleek warships that moved like nothing in the galaxy. This has to be a mistake, he muttered, his compound eyes reflecting the red warning lights. Admiral Klex Tar, the council's military commander, stood beside him. The massive crustacean's shell was pale with shock. Sir, our sensors confirm it. The humans have over 3,000 military vessels. They appeared from nowhere. Quote, 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 quote. Impossible, Mordan said. Our intelligence reports show humans have maybe 50 ships total. Primitive ones. The intelligence reports were wrong, sir. Mordan's antenna twitched with growing panic. Where did they get this fleet? How did we miss it? Before Klextar could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the command center. A junior officer turned from his station, with fear in his eyes. Sir, Council Fleet 7 is under attack at the Zerion system. What? Mordan rushed to the communications console. Put me through to Fleet Admiral Gorth. The screen flickered and showed the bridge of the battleship Devastator. Admiral Gorth, a bear-like alien with massive tusks, looked terrified. Chancellor, the humans, they're everywhere. Their ships just appeared out of nowhere. How many ships? Mordan demanded. I count at least 200. They're moving faster than anything I've ever seen. Our weapons can't lock onto them. Through the viewscreen behind Gorth, Mordan could see the battle. Human ships danced between council vessels like deadly fish. Their weapons cut through council shields, as if they didn't exist. Council ships exploded one after another. Fall back immediately, Mordan ordered. I'm trying. They're jamming our hyperspace drives. We can't jump out. The transmission cut to static. A moment later, the tactical display showed Fleet 7's signals disappearing one by one. Gone, whispered Klextar. 50 ships. Destroyed in less than 20 minutes. Mordan felt his legs give out. He collapsed into his command chair, staring at the screens. How is this possible? Their technology was supposed to be centuries behind ours. Chancellor, the communications officer called out. We're receiving similar reports from 12 other sectors. Human fleets are engaging council forces everywhere. Our ships are. They're being destroyed. The reports kept coming. Fleet after fleet of council ships found themselves outgunned, and outmaneuvered by human forces. The humans fought with tactics no alien had ever seen. Their ships appeared from impossible angles. Their weapons fired from distances that shouldn't have been possible. Most shocking of all, the humans weren't just winning. They were winning easily. Admiral Vixorin commanded the Council's 8th Fleet near the Altair system. He had been in space battles for 40 years. He thought he knew everything about war. Admiral. 1. Admiral. He was wrong. The human ships moved like they could read his mind. Every time he ordered his fleet to turn, the humans were already there. Every time he tried to retreat, they cut off his escape routes. His advanced targeting systems couldn't lock onto them. His heavy weapons fired at empty space, while human ships appeared behind his lines. Admiral, his tactical officer cried out. They're inside our formation. How did they get past our sensors? Vixorin watched in horror as human ships destroyed his flagship's escorts. The Council ships were bigger and supposedly more powerful, but they moved like floating rocks compared to the human vessels. All ships, emergency jump, he ordered. Get us out of here. Jump drives are being jammed, sir. Then fight. Use everything we have. But there was nothing they could do. The human ships were simply better. Better weapons, better armor, better speed, better tactics. Everything the Council thought they knew about warfare was useless. In the Council chambers, emergency sessions began around the clock. Representatives from dozens of species demanded answers. You told us humans were weak, screamed Ambassador Silthara. You said they were primitive. That's what our intelligence reported, Mordan protested. Every scan, every analysis showed them as barely spaceworthy. Then your intelligence was either stupid or lying, hissed the snake-like diplomat. Ambassador Vexistar's scales had turned black with fear. The answer came 18 hours after the first attacks began. A transmission reached every Council world simultaneously. The image showed Kim Jae-sung sitting calmly in what looked like a simple office. Greetings, Council members, Kim said. His voice was polite, but his eyes were cold. I believe you wanted to see humanity's response to your declaration of war. Mordan leaned forward in his chair. Diplomat Kim, we are prepared to negotiate. I'm not finished, Kim interrupted. The human's voice didn't get louder, but something in his tone made every alien in the chamber go silent. For 23 years, humanity has been part of the galactic community. We followed your laws. We paid your taxes. We accepted your restrictions. We asked only for the same rights as other species. Kim's expression didn't change, but his words hit like physical blows. Instead, you treated us like children. You made special rules just for humans. You charged us higher taxes than other species. You delayed our applications for trade routes. You denied us votes on issues that affected us directly. On screens throughout the galaxy, aliens watched as Kim listed their crimes. We complained through proper channels. We filed formal protests. We requested fair treatment. You ignored us. You told us to be grateful for what we had. Anyway, Kim leaned forward slightly. So we decided to show you what grateful humans look like when they're done asking nicely. The transmission showed footage from the battles. Council fleets burning. Human ships moving like sharks through water. Weapons that cut through the strongest armor. This is just a taste, Kim said calmly. Currently, human fleets are positioned at every major Council world. Not attacking, just watching. Waiting. Mordan found his voice. What do you want? Kim's smile was colder than space itself. Oh, that's simple. You declared war on us, remember? You demanded we become your servants. You threatened to destroy our worlds if we refused. The human stood up from his chair. Well, Council, here's our answer. We refuse. And if you want war, you can have it. But understand this. The fleets you've seen so far? They're just our patrol groups. Our real military hasn't even shown up yet. Kim walked closer to the camera. You have 48 hours to withdraw your declaration of war, remove all sanctions against human space, return to the original trade agreements, treat us as equals, not subjects. He paused, letting his words sink in. Or find out what happens when humans stop playing nice. The transmission ended, leaving the council chambers in absolute silence. Finally, Ambassador Kregon spoke in a whisper. How many ships do they really have? No one answered. Because no one wanted to know. Deep in the council's intelligence archives, Director Morgoth worked frantically through files that hadn't been opened in decades. The squid-like being's tentacles moved across multiple keyboards at once, searching for any clue about human capabilities. There has to be something, he muttered to his assistant. Species don't just hide this level of technology for 20 years. But the more he searched, the more disturbing the picture became. Sir, his assistant said nervously, I found something in the old first contact reports. When humans first joined the council, their ships were much more advanced than what we saw later. Morgoth stopped typing. What do you mean? Look at this. The human ship that first approached our space had energy readings that confused our sensors. But 6 months later, all their ships looked primitive. Show me the analysis. The data appeared on screen. The first human vessels had energy signatures that didn't match any known technology. They moved in ways that suggested advanced propulsion systems. But after joining the council, every human ship looked barely functional. They were hiding their technology from the beginning. Morgoth realized with growing horror. They made themselves look weak on purpose. He opened another file. Trade records from human space. For 20 years, humans had bought raw materials, but never advanced technology. They claimed to need help with basic systems. They asked for technical assistance with simple problems. It was all lies. He whispered. Meanwhile, in his private chambers, Chancellor Mordan received a visitor he hadn't expected. Kim Jae-sung walked in as if he owned the place. No guards had stopped him. No security systems had detected him. How did you get in here? Mordan demanded. Kim sat down in a chair without being invited. The same way we've been getting information from Council space for 20 years. You never bothered to check if your security actually worked against human technology. Mordan's compound eyes widened. You've been spying on us. Of course we have. Did you think we'd join a galactic community without learning everything we could about it? Kim pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing documents that made Mordan's stomach twist. These are copies of every private council meeting for the past 5 years. Every secret vote, every behind-the-scenes deal, every plan to limit human expansion. The documents showed the truth that Mordan had hoped would never be discovered. The council hadn't just been unfair to humans. They had been actively plotting against them. Vote 47-0 to restrict human trade routes. Kim read aloud. Vote 45-2 to double taxation on human colonies. Vote 43-4 to deny humans voting rights on territorial disputes. Each vote had been unanimous or nearly so. The council had worked together to keep humanity weak and dependent. You planned this from the beginning, Kim said. The moment humans showed any independence, any success, you decided we were a threat. That's not, Mordan began. Document 7432. Kim interrupted. Your personal memo to the military committee. Quote, humans reproduce too quickly and adapt too fast. If we don't control them now, they will become a problem we cannot handle. End quote. Mordan felt his exoskeleton go cold. That memo was supposed to be classified at the highest level. How long have you known? He asked weakly. We suspected from the first year, Kim said. We confirmed it after the 3rd year. We've been preparing for this war since year 5. Kim stood up and walked to the window that looked out over the council's capital city. Do you know what humans call this place? He asked. New Rome. Because we've seen this story before. A powerful empire that grows fat and lazy. Leaders who think strength comes from size alone. Citizens who believe their own propaganda about being superior. He turned back to face Mordan. We know how this story ends, Chancellor. We've lived through it on our own world. The holographic display changed to show images from Earth's history. Ancient empires falling to smaller, more determined enemies. Huge armies defeated by better tactics and technology. The Roman Empire thought it was invincible too, Kim said. So did the British Empire. The Soviet Union. They all made the same mistake you're making now. What mistake? Mordan asked, though he was afraid of the answer. They forgot that size isn't the same as strength. That fear isn't the same as respect. That controlling people works only as long as they let you. Kim picked up his device, and the hologram disappeared. For 20 years, humans let you control us because we wanted peace. We hoped we could find a place in your galactic community without violence. We were willing to be patient. His eyes grew hard as steel. But patience has limits, and you just found ours. Mordan found his voice. What do you want from us? I want you to understand what you're really facing, Kim said. Those fleets you saw? They're nothing. Test vessels we built to see if our theories about space combat were correct. He walked toward the door. Our real fleet is bigger than your entire military. Our weapons are centuries ahead of yours. Our technology makes your most advanced systems look like stone tools. Kim stopped at the doorway. But more importantly, we have something you've forgotten how to use. We have unity. Every human in the galaxy is working toward the same goal. Can you say the same about the Council? After Kim left, Mordan sat alone in his chambers. The human's words echoed in his mind. Unity. It was true that the Council species often worked against each other. Trade disputes, territorial conflicts, old grudges that went back centuries. Humans had only been in space for a few decades, but they worked together in ways that amazed other species. No human world had ever fought another human world. No human colony had ever rebelled against Earth's government. They somehow managed to stay united across thousands of light years. Mordan called his aide. Get me files on human internal conflicts. An hour later, the aide returned with a very thin folder. Sir, there aren't any. What do you mean there aren't any? No human world has ever fought another human world. No human government has ever fallen to rebellion. No human colony has ever declared independence. Mordan stared at the folder. That's impossible. Every species fights among themselves. It's natural. Sea Yard, Adder, Mordan. Not humans, sir. They have disagreements, but they always find ways to solve them peacefully. This was worse than advanced technology. This was worse than hidden fleets. An enemy that never fought itself was an enemy that could never be divided and conquered. For the first time since the war began, Mordan truly understood what the Council was facing. Not just a military opponent, but an entire species that had learned to work together perfectly. He pressed a button on his communicator. Get me an emergency session with all Council members. Now. Close. Get in the Phation. Get me an emergency session. What should I tell them the meeting is about, sir? Mordan looked out his window at the city below. Somewhere out there, human ships waited in the darkness. Ships full of creatures who had spent their entire history learning how to fight impossible odds. Tell them we need to discuss surrender. The emergency council session was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives who had been enemies for centuries sat side by side, united by one thing: fear of humanity. We have to negotiate. Ambassador Silthara hissed. My homeworld has 50 human ships in orbit. They could destroy us in minutes. And my ride. And negotiate? Roared Ambassador Kregon. We are the Galaxy Council. We do not bow to a single species. Then you're an idiot, said Ambassador Felnari quietly. The insect-like being rarely spoke in council meetings, but everyone listened when she did. I've reviewed the battle reports. Humans destroyed our fleets, without losing a single ship. Not one. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Vextar's scales had been black with fear for days. 3 of my worlds surrendered to human forces rather than fight. The humans accepted their surrender and left them completely alone. They only asked that my people stop supporting council military actions. What are you saying? Mordan demanded. I'm saying the humans don't want to conquer us. They want us to stop trying to conquer them. The debate raged for hours. Some species wanted to fight to the end. Others wanted immediate surrender. A few suggested fleeing council space entirely. Finally, a new voice entered the discussion. May I speak? Everyone turned to see Kim Jae-sung standing at the chamber's entrance. No one had seen him arrive. Security systems showed no alerts. He simply appeared, as if he had always been there. How did you get in here? Mordan asked. Kim smiled and walked to the center of the chamber. The same way human ships got past your defenses. You forgot that walls only work if they can't be walked through. He looked around the room, making eye contact with every representative. I'm here to discuss terms. We haven't agreed to surrender, growled Krigon. Haven't you? Kim asked. Your fleets are scattered. Your military leaders are asking for reinforcements you don't have. Half your member species are ready to leave the council, rather than fight us. He gestured to the viewing screen that showed space around the council's capital world. Look outside. The screen activated, showing the area around their space station. Where there had been empty space that morning, now hung the largest fleet any of them had ever seen. Thousands of human ships in perfect formation. Ships so advanced, they looked like artwork instead of weapons. This is Admiral Park's first fleet, Kim said calmly. Our newest and smallest fleet group. It alone has more firepower than your entire military. Ambassador Felnari's compound eyes reflected the light from the screen. How many fleets do you have? Enough. Kim walked to an empty chair and sat down without invitation. Here's what's going to happen, he said. The Council will officially withdraw its declaration of war against humanity. All sanctions will be lifted. All special taxes and restrictions on human trade will be removed. Impossible, Mordan protested. The Council will also undergo a complete restructuring, Kim continued as if Mordan hadn't spoken. New elections for all leadership positions. New rules that require unanimous consent for any action against a member species. You cannot force us to change our government, Silthara hissed. Kim pulled out a device and placed it on the table. A hologram appeared, showing documents that made several representatives go pale. These are records of every bribe, every secret deal, every illegal action taken by Council leadership over the past 20 years. Evidence of war crimes, slavery operations, and genocide attempts against smaller species. The hologram showed image after image of Council crimes. Species that had been enslaved. Worlds that had been stripped of resources. Populations that had been wiped out to make room for Council expansion. We're broadcasting this information to every world in the galaxy, Kim said. Let their populations decide if they want leaders who commit genocide. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Representatives shouted at each other in dozens of languages. Some tried to deny the evidence. Others demanded to know how humans had gathered such detailed information. Kim waited for the noise to die down. 20 years ago, when humanity first joined this community, we sent diplomats and traders to every world. We thought we were making friends. Instead, we learned we had joined a criminal organization. He stood up and walked around the chamber. Species after species told us the same stories. The Council demands tribute. The Council takes resources. The Council enslaves populations that resist. The Council destroys anyone who becomes too independent. Kim stopped in front of Mordan's chair. You've been running a protection racket on a galactic scale. Pay tribute or be destroyed. Follow orders or be wiped out. Stay weak or become a target. We brought order to chaos, Mordon protested weakly. You brought tyranny to freedom, Kim replied. But that ends now. The hologram changed to show a new document. This is humanity's proposal for a new galactic government. Equal representation for all species. No species may be taxed differently than others. No military action without consent from 80% of members. Open trials for all leaders accused of crimes. Kim looked around the chamber. You have a choice. Accept these terms and help build a better galactic community, or reject them and watch your empire collapse from within. And if we refuse? Asked Kregon. Kim's smile was ice cold. Then humanity withdraws from galactic affairs entirely. We take our technology, our trade, our protection with us. You can go back to fighting each other over scraps while your populations revolt against leaders they know are criminals. The chamber was silent for a long moment. You're offering us a chance to save face, Ambassador Felnari said quietly. I'm offering you a chance to be better, Kim corrected. Some species in this room genuinely care about peace and justice. They've been outvoted by criminals and cowards for too long. He picked up his device. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to make sure no one else does either. We want a community where species work together instead of preying on each other. Kim walked toward the chamber exit. You have 24 hours to decide. Accept the new charter, hold fair elections, and begin making amends for past crimes, or watch everything you built crumble around you. At the doorway, he turned back one last time. Oh, and council members? Those human fleets surrounding your worlds? They're not there to attack. They're there to protect the populations from any government that might decide to punish them for what's about to happen. Kim left the chamber in stunned silence. 18 hours later, the Galaxy Council voted to accept humanity's terms. The vote was unanimous. Not because they wanted to, but because they finally understood what Kim had been trying to tell them from the beginning. Humans didn't make empty threats. When they smiled and said, "You sure about that?" It wasn't a question. It was a warning.